Hello explorers and welcome to another video. Today we are going to continue with our Claude installation, and this is for a web tool in order to create a presentation for Java-based releases. So it's something that we started last video about, and we did everything but writing a specification. So now we have a specification on what to build, and now we're actually going to start implementing it. So that is the part for today. So if we switch over to my screen here, we can see that we have the interface for OpenClaude. We haven't started it yet. We have this specification document down here. Now we're going to use that in order to implement it. And what I have created is a couple of personas so that we can use in order for this development. We have already used the analyst, we have used the solution architects and the graphical designer. The accessibility reviewer is not that important for me at the moment because it's an internal tool, and the technical writer for writing documentation isn't that important for me now either, but the web developer and code reviewer is what we're going to do right now. So the web developer, I have prompted when I created it. I wrote the prompt to Claude, and it gave back a document that we could use here. So this MD here is a long document that I haven't written. It has been created by this prompt. Create a system prompt document for Claude Code CLI tool, telling it that it's a web developer and giving it instructions to read the specification MD and comments MD, we come to that later on, documents, to be used along with OpenSpec tool to implement the solution. Also use context 7. I've never seen it used at all. I created this open free account and it has never called that at all. Context 7 is something for reference documentation and so on, probably not having PHP or JavaScript in it or something like that because it never called it. Context 7 and Serena MCP where appropriate. Create a new branch for each implementation step. Strive to write readable code with good naming and for functions and variables so the code is self-documenting. But in cases where the code is not obvious, add comments to describe the flow. Languages you will write in rewrite code in are PHP, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for front-end behavior. Keep performance, security, accessibility in mind when writing code. Each step should be small and involve one branch. Never merge anything into main. So I had to add the last part there because at some point it started to merge and just commit things into main. I want it in a separate branch. I can review it and then do a pull request and pull it in. Then the code reviewer is much shorter. Create a system prompt document for Claude Code CLI tool, telling it is a code reviewer and giving it instructions to read the specification MD and remove changes in the current branch before merging it into main. Produce a comment MD with suggestions for a developer to improve. So that is the document for this code reviewer. So let's start this by running Claude with let's go back here. You can just take this system prompt file as a web developer. So now that we have started it, we have now a document called a specification MD that we want to implement. Read the specification MD. Let's see here. Specification MD and create multiple proposals in OpenSpec that we later will use for the implementation. Each major step needs to be its own branch and proposal. Let's start proposal. Yeah, let's go for that. Let's see if it actually does what I'm telling it to do now. So it should read the specification and requirements. It read that as well. And then it need to figure out what to create as proposals in OpenSpec. This will take a little while, so I will come back to you when it's done. And we are back. And that did not take 3 minutes. It took a lot longer, but I went to do some other stuff and so on. So now we have 4 different implementation tasks here. We have the project foundation, we have a PHP backend core, we have an editor UI, and we have a view mode. So those are pretty much the different things that we need to implement. And it has a couple of interesting explanation here what the different things are. And I also said that we need to implement it in pretty much this order. Then comes something that I don't really have grasped yet. It says continue at any change, run continue, or FF to fast forward through all remaining artifacts as once. Natural order to work through them is top to bottom. So I'm not really sure what the fast forward all 4 changes. So the things that it's gonna do is gonna take this proposal and then it will create something that is a design, and then it will create a specification for that design, and then it will create a couple of steps to implement. So there are 4 different steps here, artifacts to complete. And I'm not sure if we need to fast forward all 4 changes. That's the suggestion it has here. But shall we try it? Because usually I just do continue and then it does 1 step, or I continue a particular task, but I haven't implemented any of these. So I'm willing to try out things at least once. So let's do that. Let's see where we end up. And we are back. That took about 10 minutes. I went out to the trash, so I don't really know. But we see here that it has actually gone through and created these 4 artifacts now. So what we had before was proposals, the Y and capability map. Then it will create a design with key architectural decisions and rationale, also from our specification. And then the spec, textable shall scenarios, requirements per capability. So that was the 3rd one. And then task, number of checkboxes implementing each checklist. So we can see here we have a couple of these for the last view mode. So it has went through and created all of these. So now we have all of it prepared and ready for us in order to implement. So it now suggests that we implement the next part here. I will check quickly the context and see how we are on tokens. So currently we have used 87k of our tokens. Because we have saved everything already and know everything about this, I think it's safest, though, because we don't want to have any problematic hallucinations and so on. It should keep the context in mind and also clean up the context, but I'm not really sure that it will do that. So let's quit out and then start it again and start the continue applying the project foundation, which was the first of these different parts that we wanted to implement. So let's run that. So now it will start implementing the project foundation for us here. And we are back. That took a lot longer than 3 minutes, let's say that. So currently it wants me to activate the vhost by copying over a file to the web server and then enabling the site and reloading and so on. And we need to set the permissions for the var directory as well. But we see here that it has done a bunch of implementation here. 25 tasks are complete and it has created a pretty extensive thing here. And now it wants me to archive this, and I will not do that yet. So let's copy that over to my scratchboard here. And currently I want to first off do the steps up here. We can do the sudo command here and copy this one over to the web server. Let's do that. Oh, wait a minute. I think it's just QWERTY. And this directory is not available. Sites available. No such file, or let's see. Oh, wait. We need to be in the presentation. Let's do that. And then I, of course, want to check what it actually copied over here. So this is a virtual host. It goes to this directory. That's correct. The server name, we need to add that because we have a couple of different things here. And then it has a couple of other things here. So let's do an edit of this one. And the server name should be, let's call it presenter EA.org, like that. And I will fix that later on. And now it also tells me what to do with the var directory here. So that was in this file for some reason, the setup instructions. Not sure why, but it seems reasonable that the server needs to have access to these, like that. And now we need to enable this site, like that. And then we need to reload, and that should be available. Let's do sudo on that, like that. So now that site should be available. And then I want to quit out here, and I want to review this change. So that's the next thing. And then I will do add the extra site to this IP address. We can see it in the web browser and so on later on. So I will do some of that while we are reviewing some code here. So let's do the code reviewer. And I will type review current branch. So now it will do what we said in this code reviewer. It should go through the code, check the last branch, what has happened here, and it does a check against the main and the different changes, and then it checks against the specification, have we done the correct changes. So I will get back to you when that is done. And we are back. Now the code reviewer has done its part. So now it has gone through and figured out that there are changes to be made, small, minor. So first it talks about what's good and so on. And then we have two blocking merge things. The vendor is not tracked by Git, and it doesn't exist for the specification. So Apache name, server name is being commented out, doesn't catch all for worth adding a warning, and then redirect should be 302 and so on. So a couple of small things here. So let's quit out and then switch back to the web developer. Fix issues reported in comments.md. So that is the next part. And now it's going to go through and do that. And we are back. And it took probably more than a minute because I wasn't here. So now it has done some major and minor fixes here. Nothing big, but this is just the foundation. So I didn't expect there to be any real problems. And if we switch over to the web browser here, we have this interface now, and if we are reloading it, it still says error not implemented. So it's not much to see here, and there is an index page jumping us over to the editor. So what I want to do now is create a pull request so we can get this in. So let's quit here, and then we will do git status. We have a bunch of code here that isn't checked in. Mainly there is a couple of things that I want to add to our git ignore. First off, we want to ignore OpenSpec like that. If we check again, personas we could check in here, but I have a couple of other git repositories that has personas as well, so let's skip that for now. Oh, personas, like that. And specification, comments. Comments I need to remove now because we have already implemented those. Claude MD, of course, we want to have it in here. Requirements and specifications we want to have in here. And we can skip the Claude directory as well. Let's see here. Add an extra /Claude. That's not important. So let's add the git ignore. Let's add the Claude. Let's add requirements and add specification. And then we will push that into our project foundation. So now we can push this up, set upstream, origin, feature, product foundation. So now I have set up a key for my Git repository here, so it will not be able to check anything in without my permission, because it actually needs me to push it in. So that's what I've said here. If I haven't added that password, it will not be able to check into the repository. So now we should have something that we can create a pull request for over here. And it's a new feature, project foundation. We didn't get any description, but we don't need to write anything here. The main thing is to look at the files changed here. So first off, we have this file that we already looked at. We have a DB, which looks pretty reasonable, creating a bunch of tables here in order to set up the database. Sounds great. We have the OpenSpec changes. So why did it check in that task? I don't know. It shouldn't have. And then we have some git keep for the var directory. We have the API here not implemented. Pretty nice. All these are not implemented. We have a git keep again. We have an app CSS not implemented yet. A JavaScript not implemented. So a bunch of not implemented things here. So mostly nothing is really present like that. And then we have the Claude MD. I don't want to read that for now. Requirements and specifications I already checked. So we have 1,500 lines of specification that we are committing in here. So it wasn't really anything really to check here in this pull request. So I'm just going to merge it in to our main. But this is the process that I work with when I create this tool here. So I actually didn't want to have that OpenSpec changes foundation. I'm not sure why it added that. And we are back, and now I have cleaned up everything. I've checked out everything again and so on. So now it should be fine here. Well, that was a bit of a roller coaster. I had deleted the OpenSpec directory, hadn't checked it in, and because I didn't think that I needed to check it in because it will change over time or something like that. So now we didn't have our well out thought plan. So I asked it again, the same question we did before. And now it has created a bunch of tasks files, a couple of things that should be implemented. And most of these sounds pretty correct. Great, so we have already completed the infrastructure, and then it wants to create this scraping and presentation creation. And then we want to create this editor sidebar edit pane, and then we want to create a slide CRUD reorder thingy, and then we want to do the view mode. So all those edits seems fine. So if we go in here, we want to archive our own chain, our old chain. So let's see here, /archive. So now it actually doesn't find this. So here we should be able to do archive with this one. So it doesn't know that skill anymore. Did I remove the skill as well? Init, OpenSpec init. Will it just add the different skills now and not remove the rest of the things? Let's see, so we still have changes and we have a configuration here. Yeah, great. So let's try again here. So we have already seen the flow, so now we just need to go forward with the rest of the things here. So first we want to archive this one, so we don't continue with that change. Project foundation, yeah, let's archive that one. And then check status. So we haven't really moved anywhere forward. We had just created a bunch of files and so on. So artifacts are not marked completed. So now we will archive the foundation. So now we know that that is done. It can have that as a reference, but we don't need it anymore. So now it suggests implementing feature scraping and presentation creation, and that is the next thing to implement. So let's do that. And we are back. So now it has created a scraper, a presentation layer, patched whitelist, title, subtitle, release date, and so on. And SQL's PDO statements are all checked. And now it wants me to archive this kind of thing. So let's put that over in my scrapbook here and do that later. We're gonna do the same thing we did before. Let's go back to our code reviewer. Review current branch. This is pretty much the thing you do over and over and over again. So just driving the process forward, reviewing every step of the way. Both let the LLM review your changes and then also go in and manually review the changes. So you capture things that are really strange or things that you are not agreeing with, pretty much. And there is a lot of these kind of, do you want to continue kind of questions, and I usually just ask, yeah, I just let it do it, because I'm currently in a sandbox in a virtual environment, so it can't really screw up much more than the current project. So, and we are back. And now we have a couple of comments here. The presentation patch, type error, bad JSON body, doesn't handle that. No enter key support, should be there. Show editor Chrome reveals edit pane, contradicts. And then we have a silent failure here on reload editor state. And we have some patch notes and so on. Everything here looks pretty fine for me. So let's quit out here. Go into the web developer again, and the web developer fix issues reported in comments.md. And now we're going to do that. And we are back, and now it has fixed all these issues. I've read through them, and all these issues seems reasonable. And it asks me to open a PR. Now I want to do that myself. So let's check the git status here. We have a bunch of things that aren't checked in. mainly. We haven't checked in OpenSpec. So can git ignore. Has it that? Didn't we get that updated? So OpenSpec, like that. Slash Claude and slash personas. And we're gonna remove comments. Git ignore. Last changes. Now we have everything done there. We're going to push this up. Feature scraping. And there we go. So this is the interface we have now. It's not beautiful, but it does it. And we can create a pull request here with this presentation. And I'm gonna do this pretty quickly now. So we have 7 changed files. We have the scraper. I haven't tried that out. Let's just accept that for now. This was removed. We have a presentation. So I'm not wondering why it has implemented a presentation already. Because yeah, we can't really get to there. We still have API scrape. We have the editor JS, a couple of JS commands. We have an editor PHP, that's what we are looking at. And we also added these changes to git ignore. Where if I do this in a project that is a little bit more important, I will look more. But the good thing here is that we actually get these kind of pull requests or commits with a lot of information in them. So we can see what we have done all the way through. I think we should be able to now check out main again and then reset hard or git fetch origin main origin and then git reset hard origin main. So now we are there and we can continue our implementation here. So let's see if we can find the developer. Let's do OPX archive. Could do OPX archive to this particular feature. Then we will save a couple of these tokens, but yeah. So now we have 50 tasks done. We see here there were 61 for next one, 60 for next one, and then 69. Nice. So there is a bunch of tasks left to implement here, but let's archive this first one, and then I'm gonna start the implementation of the second one. It will probably prompt me for it pretty quickly after this is archived here. So archive anyway. So if it had the proposal, design and specification and so on, it wouldn't have asked me these questions. But because it's just a task file and the other things were thrown away, it's not that great. So now we can do apply. That. So then it will ask me probably what I want to apply. So now it will list. I wonder why we can't do a list mode there. So now the next one we should do is the feature view mode. But I think it actually said that the editor sidebar and edit pane was the next one. The view mode was the last one we should implement. So let's go for that one. And it will go on for a while here. And we are back, and the presentation hasn't really changed much in look and feel. We have a little bit of a different font and so on, and it has implemented all these 69 tasks. So we should be ready here. It says that we should archive now, but I don't think so. I want to review this. So we go back to the code reviewer again. Dun, 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 dun. Code reviewer. Review. Current branch. And it will go on for a while more. And we are back. And now we still have some critical issues here. And then we have some major issues that needs to be fixed. We have some minor things to be fixed. The thing that is interesting is the glazing and highlights here. The state management is clean and minimal. Smartly avoids and so on. You're not talking about my code. It's so fun. So now we have done that. We go back to the web developer and do again this fix issues. So we are doing this loop over and over again in order to get something implemented. And we are back. And now we have fixed this critical issue, we have fixed a major issue, and we have fixed some minor issues. And if we look at the interface here, it has actually changed a little bit in the interface design. And one thing that I want to test now is that they actually can do something, because now we haven't implemented the reordering and so on and editing, but we should be able to scrape things. So let's see if it actually works. Let's do some generating here and see what it actually ends up doing. It's taking a while, so I'm wondering. Found 20 JEPs for 25. Continue. Yeah, continue. Database error. So currently we have an issue with our database. Let's console. Let's check over and see. Do we have this var directory here? So now it's no longer. Yeah, okay. And we are back. So now the presentation has actually updated, and the problem I had was pretty much the database didn't have the right permissions, so I gave the permission to www data so the presentation could be read by the interface. So now I could do a presentation, and it asked me for it, and then I got here. So now I can do an update for all these different JEP numbers, and we could also add examples here. So if I add an example, that doesn't seem to be implemented. Could I move? I can't do any movement or else other, but at least we have a presentation now. So let's go over here and let's do a git. We can remove the comments because those have already been fixed. And we can push set upstream, origin, feature, editor, sidebar, pane. And now that is up there. Let's go here and we will look at this, create a pull request. So after we created this pull request, we should be able to review the different files. Now we only have 4 files here, so we see that we have some slides update for the API. We have some CSS updates. Those we saw already looked fine. We have some JavaScript updates. And last but not least, the editor file has also been updated. I will not review it more than that for now. Let's just commit it in. And when done, we will fetch origin, and then we will reset hard origin main. So now we should be able to start the next implementation step. We could go into Claude, let's see, Claude Web Developer here and archive the old one. I'm not sure if I have enough. You see here we are at 92% of my session limit, so I can't do much, but I should be able to archive this side edit pane now. So we do that as a last one, and then I will continue when this has reset at 8 p.m. and I have other engagement at 8 p.m. It's this kind of Eurovision, but for Sweden kind of thing today. So we're going to look at that, the Melody Festivalen. And so I'm going to look at that currently, and then I will continue this tomorrow, I think. So let's just do the archiving and update. So it will move it over, and then I will continue with the implementation tomorrow. There we're done. We have already archived this one. We have 3 incomplete artifacts, 15 incomplete subtasks. And we are back, and I looked into it, and it seems like some of the things here that are subtasks of the main tasks are not checked. And I'm not sure if that means it's not done, or if it's just we did it, but we didn't cross it off. So let's hope that it's just the letter later, and just continue here. So now that's archived, let's continue with the next development point here. So we want to do an apply. We'll continue. Let's do an apply. Let's see. What is the next step? Yeah, so now we have 2 left. So feature to slide, CRUD, and reorder. So that is the next task we're going to implement. So let's start that off. And again, it's asking me to archive this one. And we're going to do that later because we want to check it out. So let's quit out again. And then we will go to the code reviewer. And let's review current branch. And just repeat. And we are back, and now we have a couple of issues. We have a review here with a couple of sides, and we have one issue here that is major. Reorder can displace the title slide from position 1. That is a big one. Should never be another. And then we have 2 lines to fix here. And then we have some smaller minor issues. And again, some glazing at the bottom. So let's quit, go over to the web developer. And again, we will rinse and repeat. We need to fix reported issues in comments MD. And we are back, and all the issues have been resolved here. We have the title issue resolved, and some editor issues, and some CSS issues. So let's look over here. So this is the current state here, and we are still, the title slide cannot be moved. So we actually got that. So now we can move the slides over here. The last one here that doesn't really track, should be able to remove that one. And we also should be able to add an example. And we got an error there. So that's not good. And we can try to generate a new one here. Let's try that. Let's do for 24 instead. Generate that one. So everything in this GUI should work now, right? And we continue, and now we got 24 instead with a bunch of different new ones. And let's see here if we want to add some stuff. That should be fine. Like that. Yeah, it's added it. For reload. should still be there. Didn't add for the JEP number. If I change the JEP number, so that seems to be fine. So it should be a number, and then that's great. It didn't give me any errors for supplying a number that wasn't a number. But we have the major issue of adding an example which didn't work at all. So after some testing, I noticed that I can't store a JEP number containing anything but a number, but I did not get a warning or error when adding the information that weren't a number. And when I tried to add an example, I got the error, and then we will copy paste this error here and push that in, and that is something it needs to fix now. And we are back. So now it has fixed the unique constraint failed and also fixed the no feedback for invalid JEP number. So if we go back here, reload, and we go in here and we add something that shouldn't be there, and then we got JEP must have a positive whole number. So that's good. And if we want to add an example, we got this. And we are adding example here, and the slide title should be, let's see, thread local, perhaps, like that. So now we have a thread local example, and it's another slide. And we can have one more slide here. You can call that framework. And those could be moved up and down, so we can actually have them before or after. They aren't really a part of this, but we can't add an example for anything else. Yeah, so that's fine, and the present is still not implemented. It's a little bit of a goofy interface, but for my purposes, it works just fine. So let's commit this one. We will need to remove the comments, and then we need to push. Set upstream, origin, feature, slide CRUD reorder. Let's push that up and go back here. We will create a pull request for that one. And again, I'm not super interested in this code. If it was more critical than just for display tool, I would go in here, nitpick all the code, and then give back my comments as well for this. But it seems reasonable. It hasn't gone overboard in some weird way when it have implemented this. So I think I'm just gonna push this in. I'm just going through the process I'm using when I'm building with Claude Code. So let's implement the last part here. Let's go back to the, now we need to, again, check out main, git fetch origin, like that, git reset hard origin main, and then we need to start Claude Code again, with the web developer. And last but not least, we do an apply again. It should give us the last option of creating this web interface where we can, the featured viewer. And we're back, and I realized that we haven't archived the old one now that we got asked to archive this feature. But it pretty much downloaded the reveal.js and min.css, added that to vendor. It implemented a full viewport, some JS for building the slides, an all orange theme with the slide typography, editor integration, and accessibility and security, some text flow thingy. Let's see here, incomplete artifacts. Yeah, archive anyway. So that was just that we didn't have any specs or designs. It doesn't really matter for this implementation. So let's just let it archive that. And then we will quit. Pending a manual acceptance test, okay. So now we'll go in with our code reviewer again. And we will go up to review current branch. Yeah, we are finally soon ending up in a good state here. So we have some minor issues identified. It swallows some errors, is a redundant loader. We have a JEP number null guard not implemented and an empty slide not handled. Empty slides should not be a thing, but it's good that it found those issues, and let's just tell it to fix those issues in the comments, and then we'll be back. And we are back, and now it has fixed the issues that we were looking at. So now we can go back here. We have the same kind of interface. If we go to present, we get this, and we have March, we have YEP3, we have this framework here, and it pretty much could continue here looking at the different. I like this example thingy here. There is a couple of things we could talk about. So for YEPs, I think both YEP and the framework should have some more. I'm not really sure what that is called, what space between the letters, because it's really hard to read this text at all. But other than that, I feel that this is a pretty good way of representing YEPs, right? This is doable. And we have a counter down here telling us how many slides we have done and so on. I'm not dissatisfied. So I think we should commit this one, or push this one, remove comments, git push. Set upstream, origin, feature, view mode. Push that up. We will go here, create and compare a pull request, create the pull request. We should review the files as before. This time I will not. We have seen that process already. Merge it in. So now that we have that, we can start anew, and we have a few things that we need to hard git fetch origin, git reset hard origin main. And so if we go in with the web developer again, use OpenSpec to create new proposal for these changes. First off, when it comes to the text of the title and yep numbers, we use alpha slab, and I think that is a bit hard to read if the letters are so close to each other. So either increase the font size or change the letter spacing to increase readability. And I think we also talked about having context highlighting on examples. That would be helpful. Could use a library for that. Last but not least, I think the examples not being tied to yep seems a bit goofy in the current implementation, so change that so each example will be a part of one yep and reorder it together with the yep. They could be reordered internally within the yep. So if one yep have two examples, they could switch places from first to second example of that yep. So it's a pretty big change, or a couple of big changes that it needs to write a proposal to. So let's get back to it when it's done. So now the proposal is ready. So let's see here. We can just type continue here. Let's continue, and it will do the next part here of writing up. Let's see. So now it will create a proposal. So I'm not sure what the first thing was. Ready to create a proposal. So we will go through each of these steps as intended by OpenSpec, pretty much. No existing specs, all capabilities will be new. Now writing a proposal. So let me wait until it's done. Oh, it's got something already. So let's write that down. The current presentation suffers from distinct readability, structural issues. The alpha slab font is used in title and yep number tightly, fault letterhead, increased letter spacing. So now it has come up with a couple of capabilities here: alpha slab typography, letter spacing, font size rules, syntax highlighting, adding that, yep example association. So now it needs to do some designing. That was the first step, a proposal. Let's continue doing some designs. Or it might even do those in parallel. I'm not sure. Let's see. So now that part is done. We have now the specification. Now it unlocked the design part here. So specs are written. Let's continue with the design. And we are back. And now we have the reason I'm here pretty much, because it has misunderstood the thing that I want to do completely. It now has written up something to do with the Python code that I didn't ask for at all. So let's go back and say, okay, now we are going in the wrong direction. If either the proposal, design or specification is wrong in OpenSpec, then roll back to the last working step. What we need to update is the web application view, so it will show the YEPs in a better way. Don't change any of the reference Python code that will not be used in this project. Let's see if we can fix the issue it actually went into. So roll back and start over, and we will be in a better place. Let's see what it does. And we are back. Let's see now the proposal here. Bad change was deleted and the new one is solid ground. Here what we changed wrong before, the proposal were for the Python generator. What our new proposal target is alpha slide library. We're doing that in the CSS, and then we're doing the syntax highlighting view in the highlight.js, and then we do example grouping, reveal vertical slide groups, example nesting, reorder, and so on. Okay, no backend changes needed. Okay, we won't continue here because I think the JEP example grouping is wrong. I still think the JEP example grouping is wrong. I want the view to show each slide separate, like each YEP, and then first show YEP and then the examples of the YEP in the right order. Only change the editor, so the YEP will have examples as children. Let's see if that is more easy to understand. And we are back, and now it has corrected. They changed the scope for the YEP grouping, reveal JS, vertical slide nesting, restructure, build slides, now nest examples under their YEP. After correct view will untouched for the structure. Flat slides, yep, it's example and position order, exactly as today. Editor only, yeah. So let's see if we continue here. It will now create the next part. And we are back. Now we have a specification. So alpha slab spacing, custom property and root, applied to main title, JEP label, example title, default value 0.04, 0.08m. Sounds good. Highlight yes, rendered, offline matches, reveal pattern, called per element in the example slides. Could be good. Sidebar examples indented as children of the JEP. And example follows last child. Reorder. Yeah, sounds great. Let's continue and create a design for that. And we are back. And now we got a design here. So the alpha slab, you put it at 0.06 tunable token. The highlight vendor, we will add that with some background. And we have this highlight element that we will do here, highlight all. And then we have the CSS class for the example child. And we also need to do index-based neighbor lookup against the cached slides. Okay. So that sounds pretty reasonable. Let's continue and create a task list. Now we are all the way down to implementation here. So we have 13 tasks in 7 groups. Okay, so the first group here is downloading and adding the highlight.js or Autumn 1 Dark. We need to fix the alpha slide letter. We need to do some CSS integration. We need to update the PHP view, the PHP.js, and editor grouping and editor ordering. So let's do an apply of this. And now we're back. We have implemented 16 tasks and everything is reviewed here. And I think we will quit out and we will open our code reviewer again. We will review this last edit and see that it's up to our standards. And let's see, review current branch. Yes, now we can quit out here and fix those issues from the comments file. We are closing into the last testing here. It's getting very late, so I would like to be done with it soon. Haven't really looked at the result yet, and it's going to be interesting. Give me some light here, and it's going to do some checking of different things. XD, what is that? Don't know. I'm gonna look that one up. Is that some kind of validating of the CSS or something like that? And now we have fixed all these minor and major issues here. So let's see how this actually looks now. So we still have the same here, but we have this framework here. Not really sure why. Yeah, okay, so this is under the JEP, and then we have thread local here. So if I create one more here and call it that, I should be able to move those up and down. So that's great. But I know under the JEP, and with the add example, yeah, so the styling is a little bit off, but it works. So let's look at the presentation here. I think this is much better. We have a little bit more separation between the letters. So that's readable. And oh, looky. This is pretty nice. Context highlighting. Yeah. So it's more readable at least. I think this is pretty nice. Could improve it even more, but I think I will stop there for now. You have seen my process on how to create applications using Claude Code. You pretty much write what you want. You go through a process in order to define specifically how you want it to be implemented using OpenSpec. And then when that is done, it will implement something. You look at the code and review both the code and also review the actual design and what you think about the different features, finding issues, bugs, and so on, and fix those, and then review the actual code in GitHub in my case, and then you will rinse and repeat and go through the steps all again. So this was what I wanted to cover today. I hope that you found this interesting. I hope that you learned something today. If you liked this video, give it a like, share it with your friends and colleagues. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. And I really want to see you in the next video.